Summit Point Motorsports Park, then Summit Point Raceway, opened in October of 1969. The first races held there were SCCA regional races in the fall of that year, and then IMSA showed up with the International Sedans being the first ever professional event. Paul Newman ran several of his early races there in a Bob Sharp-prepared Datsun 510 sedan. And over time, the track was host to a number of SCCA and other professional series sanctioned by IMSA, and of course was a big hit with the Trans Am crowd through the late 1980s. In the early 80s, however, the track was sold to 1970 Formula V world champion Bill Scott and his partner Tom Milner of PTG, or Prototype Technology Group fame, whose BMWs blitzed IMSA GT for many years. Milner's son, Tommy, has still been a top-level Corvette factory driver for many years. While it doesn't host pro racing anymore, the track remains a favorite of many racing clubs, in part because of its surprisingly technical nature and due to it being also unusually long for a club track. And tonight, it is host to the third round of the Full Send Sims Esports iRacing Series Season 2 of Spec Miata. Hi, everybody, and welcome. I'm Greg Creamer, and joining me for the call tonight is Finian Dacuna of Sim TV Broadcasting. Finian, welcome. So excited about this. You would have thought coming from a track 4 miles long, Road America, to a quote-unquote club track, that you'd be thinking, all right, we're going to a really tight, twisty 1.5 mile, maybe 2 mile facility. Not the case here at Summit Point.
Oh, not the case here at all, because these guys, especially with the NC Miatas, have so much on-throttle time, especially down this long front straightaway you're seeing coming up here on the left from the blimp shot. You're going to see a lot of slipstream battles, essentially going to feel like a little bit part of Road America. Heading down into turn number 1, that's going to be the action-packed part of tonight here. Qualifying beginning at the moment, 8 minutes left in qualifying, and at the top of the board, Caleb Patry in the 998 as he's working through the back half of the course.
Yeah, he's been really on form. Not that he usually isn't, but it's a 1-2 in the points for the teammates Morgan Burkhardt and Caleb Patry. Separated though after 2 rounds by only 4 points, really close. And maybe one of the really nice things to see here is tied with Patry for second in the points is Nicholas Rice-Puto, and he has really been strong as well, just keeping the points up. Benjamin, or Beans Forster as we know him, sits 4th in the points. Joshua Soto, who is so quick, but had a little bit of a problematic weekend at Road America, still up in the top 5. What I'm delighted to see, we had talked about it, Kyle and I, last week, Finian, is Skip Brock Jr., who has had nothing but horrible luck over the first season. Really has hit his stride here and been very impressive. And Giancarlo Schooler sits 6th in the points, tied with Skip Brock. Jordan Rickson-Greeny up there. And Court Schmidt of Full Send Sims, is also up in the top 10 in points. So lots to be looking forward to, I think, in this one, and we're sure excited about it.
Yeah, definitely. And even looking in qualifying here as we're nearing the end of it, up at the top, Caleb Patry, he's only on pole by just 25 thousandths of a second. Giancarlo Schooler so close in behind, sitting in the pits. Actually, both drivers sitting in the pits. I'm not sure if they're going to be wanting to get out there and track and get another lap down, especially Schooler, because it's just amazing. Over a minute 26 seconds, comes down to 25 thousandths of a second. That's such a close margin.
I know, it's really amazing. In fact, right now the top 9 are covered by 9/10 of a second. It tells you just how close this field is, and this is a really, really technical track. It's long and it's quick, but it's very technical in spots, and I think that that really attracts drivers because they find it really exciting and enjoy being able to drive a venue like this. And with its length, you can really get some good racing in it. You talked about it as well. Down this long front straight, I mean, it's hugely long for a club track. These cars should be able to draft like mad, I would think.
Oh, I definitely think so. Here as he's heading off down into turn 1. This is going to definitely be the action-packed part of tonight. These guys diving up the inside or on the outside too. You really could do either way. A lot of guys got to get creative, especially the car in front, trying to get creative when defending, and then through turns 2 and 3 here. And then this is where the guy getting past has a chance to make a move back on before heading through the left-hander. And this gravel trap catches so many guys out. You can see, the 174 going all wheels off, but already some tire tracks from drivers that previously went off.
Yeah, I mean, you want to use every bit of the exit there at 3. It's a quick corner, and it's crucial. but you can easily overrun it just a little bit from what I can see out there. And Rowan Gill is a guy, he's had great speed this year. He was fabulously quick last year. One of the few to outright beat Morgan heads up in a couple races, but he's just had some rough goes this year in terms of results. Speed is unquestionably there, and so I think this is really a must-go weekend for Rowan Gill, and right now he's sitting right there in that top 5. He'd like to be a little bit farther up, but he's, as we talked about, he's 5th, and he's only 3/10 off of Caleb Patri's fast time right now.
Yeah, and only 36,000ths of a second behind Nicholas Rice-Puto in the number 8 machine in 4th. I don't think he's going to be able to beat him this time by, I think this is Gill's outlap. Now he's on a flyer. Still has some time. 4 minutes remaining for all the drivers on the track in this open qualifying session. Nathan Nicholson in the number 19, also 6th place in the timesheets at the moment, working through the back half of the track. I'm trying to see if anyone else is on a really solid hot lap. Still surprised that the leaders have sat in pit lane. Do you think we're going to see them get back on the track for a final run?
Well, I mean, Morgan Burkhardt is a guy in particular here. He's sitting at the very back. He's your point leader, and he does not have a time on the track yet, and that's a bit of a surprise. So I would expect here in these last few minutes, I would hope he can get out and throw a lap in.
Yeah, I was going to say, I've been seeing him very quiet. Didn't see him really get out there and practice either, so I'm not sure if he's actually even in the server. Hopefully he gets in really quick and can get a lap out, but he's only got 3 minutes remaining, and you have to consider, so he has till about maybe a minute 30 to actually get out there for a check, because then you can at least, if he comes across the line before the checkered flag, can finish the lap. So hopefully at some point he gets in, because I definitely don't want to be starting from 25th in a 25-minute race. That it seems like a lot of time, but it goes by very quickly.
Well, and this is a pretty stout field as well. In that, even for Morgan Burkhardt, when you've got guys like Patry, Schooler, Forrester, Rice, Puto, Gill up in front of you, you don't want to be giving away 20 cars in front of you there. So, yeah, he's going to want to get out. I wonder, as you said, if there's some technical issue with the connection or whether he's just running late. We'll have to see. He'd sure make it entertaining, I think, if he had to start last, but we don't want that. We don't want him to fall on that. Quite that sharp of a sword for us.
No, you never want to see the driver struggle, although when they do start from the back, it usually is pretty entertaining. Jordan Rickstra, if you can help me with this name.
Ricksagrini.
Ricksagrini, there we go. In the 108, you just went up 2 spots from 9th to 7th, so he improved his time and is actually in the slipstream. And that's actually a very helpful thing. It's helpful in the first half of this lap with that slipstream down the straightaway, but then you get here through the next sector and you're kind of stuck in behind and impeded by the driver in front.
Yeah, here it just sort of eases and bobs and weaves a little bit, so it's difficult to really make any kind of a move. You've got to get through that turn 4. It's such a fast corner. And then now into this tricky complex. And this is really, isn't it, just sort of like a big double apex corner here. You just drive the entry and the exit, and it's all about getting exit speed, isn't it, out of this next turn, turn 9.
Yeah, getting some speed here, hitting your marks, not making a mistake, especially with the driver breathing down your neck. And then if you get a good enough run, you might be able to make a final move here, heading to the final corner, the final right-hander to end the lap. Have seen quite a few spins coming through this final corner, especially with cold tires at the start of some of these races. That's definitely something to consider for some of these drivers as they come across the line here. And they're pretty much going to be starting their final lap here as we got under a minute. And Burkhardt is actually out on the track. Oh, boy, this is going to be a close one for him.
Boy, did he cut it close here. He's really got to get his head down. This will be a fun lap to watch. So this is his out lap, I think. So when he comes around, we'll follow him around and see what he's going to be able to do, because your point leader right now is dead last in this field. A number of the top guys have just parked it in the pits. They like their time, and they're going to stick with it here. But let's watch Burkhardt here, and this can be kind of a clinic, for those of you, and I have to admit, somewhat like me, that aren't super familiar with this facility. So I'm gonna watch this lap with great interest as he makes his way around. But he's got himself up to speed, and I'm sure he's been out there. He's driven this track before, Finian.
Ooh, I'm looking at the time. I don't know if he's got enough time to make it back. He's got 10 seconds. I don't think he's going to make it in time. I think this might be his lap. This might have to be his lap because the pit lane is before the start-finish line. So,
yeah.
Oh, but he hit it off. He might have got an off track there. I'm not too sure. Oh, but qualifying's over.
That's it. Well, the clock hits 0, and he is done. So it's going to be, I don't know that he is registered with any time because that was an outlap essentially, and he just didn't get around in time, did he?
Yeah, no, and I just remembered a thing. I completely forgot.
that?
It's been a while since I've done this format. It's because they're using a heat race format. So with the heat races, you can't in the open qualifying format. Even if you start the lap, you don't get to finish it.
When the clock ends,
yeah,
get in.
It's
period.
done. So he didn't even get that time in. So he's going to be starting dead last from 25th, but we'll go through your starting lineup here in just a second.
Yeah, absolutely here. Also, just want to say a big thanks to Cord Schmidt and Full Send Sims. They got some big news we're going to be talking about here in a couple of spots. We also want to say a big thank you. Of course, Full Send Sims, title sponsor of this championship. Also want to thank 3P Logistics, owner Frank Rodriguez. They have been a great supporter of the Full Send Sims Spec Miata seasons here. Now in the second running, they've been with us right from the beginning, as has Final Turn Motorsports and owner Rob Greenwood. Both of them just absolutely fabulous in their support of this championship. And Full Send Sims, one thing they wanted to just pass along is they have a rig, a trailer that's got 2 Sims in it that is portable, and they can take it and go anywhere you want. So if you're having a special event, even if you're having just a fun party and you want to have something special to do, they can bring a couple of Sims to you, and that's pretty cool. And they also have a brand new rig that they've just built that we're going to talk about as well. But it looks like we're getting that pace lap underway, Finian.
Indeed we are, and let's start off your starting lineup here. Caleb Patry starting in first in the 998. Next to him, Giancarlo Schooler in second in the 111.
Yeah, Patry currently tied for second in the points. Starting third, Beans Forster in the number 23, and Nicholas Rice-Puto, who is tied for second in the points, starts fourth in the number 8.
Moving on back to fifth, Rowan Gill in the 174. Next to him, Joshua Soto in the 6th place position in the 77.
Starting in the 7th spot, the 108, the beautiful blue Mazda of Jordan Rick-Sagrini, and he's joined on that row. Starting in 8th, the number 19 of Nathan Nicholson.
Moving on back to 9th place is going to be Trace Hance in the 53 machine. Gian Mairo in 10th place in the 24 car.
Starting in the 11th spot will be the 99 of Dean Dibdahl, who has been very impressive, liked what he was doing at Road America. And Seth Spolman, who's one of the regulars in the championship. The 042 starts 12th.
Moving on back, Max Bankin in 13th in the 13 machine. Court Schmidt in the 172 is going to be rolling off in 14th place.
And starting in the 15th spot will be Max Schweid in the number 98, joined by Deacon Greenfield, starting 16th, driving the number 32.
Moving on back, next row in 17th, Thomas Pendergrass in the 36, Rocco Fasquella in the 18th position in the 95.
And starting in the 19th spot, driving the number 22 is Rich Green. Dave Brown, driving the number 25, starts 20th.
Moving on back to 24 is Jim Freidhofer in the 89 machine, Jerry Isaacs in 22nd in the 51.
Starting 23rd, it'll be the number 12 of Jillian Fichter, and Wayne Buttermore starts 24th, driving the 73.
And moving on back, last but certainly not least, Morgan Burkhart's going off in 25th in the number 40 machine. He's got a long way to go from the back of the grid. How long? We'll take a look. This is the view he has out of his car, and he's got 24 hungry Mazda Miatas ahead that he's got to navigate over the course of 2 25-minute races.
Well, you know he's going to be aggressive right from the off. And Finian, you've called races here. Is this track easy or hard on tires?
It might not be too terribly hard on tires. It really depends on how you treat them, especially through some of these fast-flowing corners. So if you can manage your stuff, everything should be A-OK.
All right, well, it is time for the start. Caleb Patry and Giancarlo Schooler on that front row, watching for that green flag, and here we go. Big lunch, and look at Rowan Gill jump down to the inside. He's got a little bit of overlap. Is he going to be able to do anything? That's Beans Forster. He's got that raw red 174 up alongside, trying to make it 3 abreast, and look at how long this run is. Is he going to be able to do anything? He is. Up on the outside. Looked like Schooler got a little crossed up. Gill might be able to go all the way to second. Can't quite get there. Tinian, what a start by Rowan Gill.
What a start by everyone. I'm genuinely surprised there wasn't a major incident because they were all literally nose to tail, bumper to bumper traffic heading to turn one. Here comes the 111 Schooler trying to throw it up the inside of Patry. Couldn't get anything done. Now here comes the 174. Rowan Gill taking advantage. And the 23 of Forster also trying to make his way on through. He will get third place.
Yeah, I think Schooler stayed alongside a little bit too late and realized, well, if I push it here, we're going to have contact, so he got out of it. Of course, just sort of killed his momentum a little bit, and that allowed Gill and Forster through. So opportunistic for those guys. And believe me, if you're leading, if you're up in the points fight right now, up in that top 5, you're well aware where Morgan's starting. You want to get to the front and drive away as fast as you can. And I think in particular for Rowan Gill, we talked about it, he wants to make good on this.
Looking at a fight between the 24 and the 53. They were going at it through the S's. Now here comes Hans trying to throw it up the inside. The 99 Dibdal trying to also make a move out through the final corner, but they all come through single file in a fantastic first lap. Everyone making it on through, keeping an eye on where Morgan Burkhart is, who is the driver in the grass. It's the number 51.
There he is.
22, sorry. Rich Green in the grass, but there is Morgan Burkhart up to 17th place so far.
Yep. Coming up alongside the 172 of Court Schmidt right now. Morgan coming through. Court turns in behind him.
Whoa.
And,
oh no!
Boy, Burkhart got collected in that, and that's the thing when you start in the middle of those packs. When one car gets it wrong, you can so easily be caught out in it. Let's take a look at what happened here.
The number 13, Max Bankin, went to the inside of the 99, threw it in, couldn't make it work, then sat in the middle of the track, and unfortunately Burkhart was the first to get there and knock him on his side.
Yeah, and Burkhart was completely unsighted, so nothing he could have done about that. Question now is, what kind of shape is Burkhart's car in? He continued driving, but he's definitely got some damage, and you have to wonder, Finian, that right front corner, you know, I can't imagine that toe isn't completely messed up.
Oh, and then he's also got some slow cars up ahead trying to get at Seth Spoolman. He's trying to get on by. I think he ran into some contact. I'm just curious to see how Burkhart's steering wheel is. Here comes a straightaway. Get a chance to see if the car even is driving straight. And nope, he's got about like 15, 20 degrees to the right. And that can't be the best of things to deal with.
Yeah, no, and that's, you know, that can actually help you turn into some corners, and then it'll mess you up completely in the opposite direction. So we'll see where he's working. And right now, I think Court Schmidt tucked in behind him, just trying to see what he might be able to do here. But Patry Schooler, big lock up there.
Oh, no, the 174 Rowan Gill just blew an engine on the downshift.
Oh, my goodness.
And that's going to be the end of the race for him.
That is the wrong time for Rowan Gill to have that mistake happen. Watch it here in the draft.
And you heard it right there. Just, I think, either put in the wrong gear or just went downshifted too aggressively.
Yeah. Oh, man. This is the season that, where Rowan Gill, if he has any luck, apparently it's going to be bad. And right now, look at Rice Puto, the number 8. We're looking out from behind Giancarlo Schooler in the 111, and Rice Puto is relentless at this stage. And then Rick Zagrini and Soto back behind them. Then a little gap back to Morrow and Hans.
Yeah, everyone's separating out a little bit, and since a major competitor for Patry is out with the number 174 Rowan Gill, has a bit of a gap, which is something we don't typically see with the Miata, the leader being able to break away, especially this early on. We're not even 5 minutes into this race, and he's already got a 1.2, 1.3 second lead. So Schooler, Rice, Puto, they might have to start working together if they want any chance of catching back up to Patry.
I think that's their only hope right now, because Caleb has been really quick this year. And these two guys, if they work together here, should be able to put something together, see if they can go up. And certainly if Rick Zagrini and Soto can join them and make that a 4-car train, they might be able to close up. And these two guys obviously are teammates to Patry up front and Gill in the back. So they're more than willing to get up there, but they don't want to drag that bright blue machine of Rick Zagrini and the white car of Soto with them here. They don't want them in this mix.
Who thought I saw Rice Puto try to have a look up the inside entering turn 3. He has a bit of a run here, and I'm going to assume, take a wild guess by the matching paint scheme, these two gentlemen are teammates with each other, so that's another thing too. Don't want to wreck your teammate.
Exactly. That's exactly the point. And right there, and just that quickly, you can see Rice Puto having that little bit of a look, and as a result, Schooler went just a smidge defensive. into turn 5, and just that quick, Rick Sangrini and Soto were there. And Soto sporting I like that, a new graphics package on the car. His car was usually all white, and now he's got that beautiful black striped Toyo tires. That looks sharp.
A very sharp-looking car and doing pretty well up near the top of the field in the top 5, but I'm sure he's definitely not going to be settling for 5th place. He's going to try to see if he can get that car up in the next few spots, but at the moment I think nothing he can really do except just kind of ride in behind these guys and see if they can catch back up to the leaders. Gianni Mairo in the 24 right in behind these guys.
Yeah, with Hans right on his 6. There he is in that blue and orange striped car, Trace Hans. And Trace Hans, I believe, is an instructor at the Concourse Club down in the Miami area and on the grounds of the Opa-locka Executive Airport, the really phenomenal Concourse Club, and I think he's one of the instructors there. So great to have him running in this series.
Yeah, and doing a solid job up in 7th place. He's up 2 spots from 9th, starting in 9th position. So solid run for the 52, trying to see if he can catch back up to the 24, catch the tail end of his slipstream to get him back in the fight. You see them all going aggressively and breaking down into turn 5. And how about Morgan Burkhardt, too? I thought he was kind of out of it, but he's still hustling to the front. His forward progress does not stop. If anything, it's been slowed down a little bit, but up into 12th.
Yeah, he's really putting together a solid run. Considering that car cannot be healthy at all at this stage, and coming up now in the back of Deacon Greenfield.
Let's see if he can get past the 32. Deacon Greenfield standing in his way, and then a little bit of further gap up to Max Schweid in the 98 in 10th, just up the road. Trying to see if he can get a run here. I think Burkhardt's probably most likely going to wait for the front straightaway and make a move, but trying to look at his last lap time, I actually couldn't see his last lap time because I think he had a little bit of an internet issue. It deleted his last lap time, but he is definitely looking quick out there on the track. Trying to check back with our leader, see if anything's happened here. Here's the 8, Rasputo. He's going to make a move this time.
Dives down to the inside and Rick Sangrini gets up and underneath and touches. I think that was Rasputo because that was Schooler that had just made that move. No, that was Schooler. So Rick Sangrini tapped Schooler. Now they're side by side. Schooler's got the inside this time. Rick Sangrini, he dropped his right tire. Did you see that, Finian?
And
right on turn in.
Meyer going to go through the gravel trying to avoid that. Going to take a replay of that whole incident because that involved quite a bit here. We'll take a look again at the initial move. Here's the 8 of Rasputo making the move to the inside. This kind of set everything off. He made a good dive. Schooler got checked out wide. Then the 108, a little bit of a tap that sent Schooler out.
Yep. Just a little bit of a touch and go there, wasn't it? But the thing is, if we can get the shot going into 3 from behind on the blue car of the 108, you're going to see right there, he dropped that right side tire right at turn in onto the grass. Made a brilliant save, but it still, right?
Oh, yeah.
See it? Just enough. And man, he held on to it. He sent car scattering, but he saved it. So after that little error, that was a brilliant catch. Costly, though, in terms of position.
Definitely very costly, but did a fantastic job recovering the car and keeping it in the running. He's only thrown back to 9th. I mean, I've seen so many drivers wipe out after trying to hold a car after getting in the grass on entry to turn 3. It's such a easy mistake to make. He's got some decent damage to the nose of that car, and I wonder if the matching bumper to the 19 ahead, I wonder if the kind of shoe fits in that sort of scenario.
I think there might be something to that, my friend. One of the really amazing things about this track, and you see it here, is, the people who design these tracks sometimes, I really think that they're twisting their mustaches and giggling in a villainous form, because a few of the key corners on this track, the track starts to turn before you should be. And it's so inviting to, while the track's turning, I better start turning. And then suddenly the exit tightens up on you, and you're either in way too fast or you have to check up so bad you're just crawling out of the corner. and that makes these kind of tracks really fun. That's one of the technical natures of this place.
I literally grew up driving on this track in iRacing when I first joined racing these exact cars. So I have this place has a soft spot in my heart, learning the intricacies of racing. As the number 8 of Rice Puto, he's going rallycross racing out in the gravel, and that's going to cause a bit of a checkup in behind. John Collar Schooler and Joshua Soto making a 2-wide battle as a lap car comes out. Oh, a car coming out of pit lane. They door each other on the straightaway. Oh boy.
Yeah, that sent Soto for a monster ride out there. He was able to gather it back up again, but that really was close.
Genuinely amazed that there's no incident from that. That could have been a whole lot worse, and not how Soto wanted that to go out.
Not at all. And I mean, he had reeled in and caught those guys, and was actually when Schooler had to avoid, I think it was Rice Puto ran wide coming out of the last turn, and Schooler had to sort of move over to avoid him, and that really gave Soto a run. And then that car coming out of the pits just obviously just checked that all up big time here. And up front, because of all of that action with Rice Puto running wide and the others, right now Caleb Patry is up by over 3 seconds right now. Just a absolutely perfect run for him. He got clear of all of the mess that was going on. Oh no, Nathan Nicholson a problem here in the number 19. He was the one that was right in front of Rick Segrini.
Oh, I think I saw a puff of smoke, and I think that might have been what we saw happen to Rowan Gill and a bad downshift taking him out.
Yeah, I mean, we are not driving. These cars are not paddle shift, nor are the sims that people are in, right? You've got to be matching your downshifts and doing the whole thing here. So pulling off, unfortunate, because he was actually having a pretty solid run.
Yeah, that's the big thing, too. You talk about H-pattern shifters. Not a whole lot of race cars have that anymore. Everything's going to paddle shift, sequential. Most cars don't even, they have a clutch, but you don't need to use it to engage the gear. Just blip the throttle and you're good to go. I mean, that's how it is for NASCAR. It's gotten a lot simpler to get the cars in gear now. So when you get to these H-pattern cars, you really need to finesse the downshifts. Otherwise, you can end up blowing the engine like we've seen 2 times already tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that I always, kind of chuckle about is some of the, the young drivers that are coming up that are, becoming the big names. And I've talked to a few of them over the years, recent years, that have been offered rides and, in like a McLaren, M8B, old Can-Am car at a great track. And they can't do it because they don't know how to drive a stick.
Oh, wow.
They're wicked quick in an up-and-coming Formula car with paddle shifts and everything, but they just don't have the finesse because they don't ever do it.
Yep.
And, to me, that was the ballet of motorsports, all that footwork and handwork. And you watch Ayrton Senna when he was driving qualifying laps in the gated box, and he could make those shifts as fast as anybody with a paddle shift these days. As Schooler now got another great run, really played the draft well on Rice Puto, pulls out, moves in, and Rice Puto couldn't get it turned in quick enough. Soto's got his nose underneath, and so Soto, too, might be up and alongside. This is a great battle, side by side now. Rice Puto in the red 11, or the red 8, and Soto in the black and white 77, and it goes the way right now of Rice Puto, but that's for the last spot on the podium, so that's going to be a fierce battle for the remaining 11 minutes here.
Yeah, I was going to say, and you saw Soto just back out of it. I think he realized there's no point sticking out side by side. He was going to lose out being stuck on the right-hand side entering turn 3, so decided to let Rice Puto get on through, and he can try to get back to Schooler. I mean, and again, for the lead, Patry's out 3.6 seconds.
Yeah, he's just cruising right now. And all those, every time those guys race each other behind him. And at this point, I think they have absolutely decided, well, we're not going to get to Patry. The battle is now for second, third, fourth for that group. And who can get up there, because Patry, unless he makes a big mistake, like one of those botched downshifts or runs afoul of some lap traffic, he has this one fairly covered right now, but there's some great battling going on elsewhere on the track, isn't it? Riding on board now, coming up behind the 53 of Hance is the 99 of Dibdall, and he showed some, not really familiar with him when he first showed up last week at Road America, and man, was he quick.
Definitely really quick. He caught up quite a bit to the 24 and the 53 as they've been doing battle over the last lap. We saw Maero make a move in behind the leaders in the second, third, and fourth spot. In the background, the 24 got on through the 53, still giving chase. Trace Hansen still not out of it, and Dibdal now entering the fray. So we got a nice 3-car battle for second place and a nice 3-car battle for fifth place. Going to check in, I guess, with how Morgan Burkhardt's been doing his slow creep up the order. Up to 9th place now, as I think just gotten past the 98 of Max Schweid, and Deacon Greenfield's actually kind of following Burkhardt in his tracks. He's been keeping touch with the number 40.
Yeah, right now that was kind of a fun little battle here with Deacon Greenfield and the guy right behind him, or Max Schweid, as you were pointing out. And there, look at that, side by side. They are having a great little duel, and it's pass and repass in virtually every corner here. So they are having a blast, and that's part of the thing with this, isn't it? You may not have the pace of a Morgan Burkhardt or the guys up front. That doesn't mean you won't get out of that thing after a couple of races here, sweating a little bit with a big grin on your face.
Oh, especially this combination too. Throwing the Miata as a car of this speed at a track like this, it's just absolute perfection. For a club racing circuit, these cars are so much fun to drive and race around here. I can do this for hours. I'm sure these guys can definitely do it for hours, but they've only got, at least in this race, only just about 8 minutes 30 seconds remaining. As we take a look at Greenfield, he's going to have a decent look, I imagine, on the 98, who is up for second place, Giancarlo Schooler, and this battle is reignited again.
It certainly has. Schooler on the inside there, that 111 up on the outside. Rice Puto, who noses ahead, and he's getting a nice shove from Soto, and they're going to try it side by side through here, and that is always tough to work. And look at that, Giancarlo Schooler doesn't really lose a thing as he just slots right in between Rice Puto and Soto, which is where he was when he went off.
In the background is also
but Soto floated out for a second and lost a little bit of speed, didn't he?
Did lose quite a bit of speed. And actually the thing I want to point out too is as these guys fight, this group of drivers has actually been somewhat reeling them in. Last lap through they didn't make a whole lot of ground, but this lap they made up about a second. So this second group, this could potentially be a 6-car battle for second place if these guys keep fighting like this. And I think you can see that any shot of them working together, they've kind of thrown that out the window. I think they've realized they can't catch Patry, so now it's just an all-out brawl for second place.
Absolutely. This is now mano a mano up front there. And you're right. I mean, every time they go through corners side by side like they were, Morrow, Hansen, Dibdal are just going to be closing in on them here and going after it here. And if somebody pulls out to make the pass, normally if you're trying to catch somebody, you just let them go. But now look at this; they're going to be side by side into the turn. Soto off into the marbles a little bit, and you can see he just lost all of his ability and drive. And look at this now. This is just the 98.
Yep, the 98.
Yeah.
Or 99, sorry, of
99.
Dibdal going to make his way on through. Dean Dibdal actually got, I think, 2 for 1 there in turn number 1. And going to make him around the 53. Trace Hansen not giving up, going to make a pass through the gravel to get it on the right-hand side. This is going to get interesting.
Does he have that line established? No, he doesn't. And I think it was pretty smart that he just let Dibdal ease across, because if you touch there, that's a pretty fast and narrow piece of track. And things can go badly wrong in a hurry.
Speaking of which, contact between the 111 and the 8. Their teammates quite literally dooring each other and slowing each other down even more as Rice Puto is going to make his way on through.
I'll tell you what, though, they've got to be careful here, because Dibdal, like I said, he was really fast at Road America, and now that he's clear of Hansen Morrow, he might be able to get after these guys. And again, side by side, that's just giving a nice double draft to Dibdal back there as they come out of 14. And now look how close he is. Dibdal is right there. He's definitely going to be able to get a tow, and he can bring Hansen Morrow with him.
Taking a look at the last lap for Dean Dibdal, it was a 1:28.4. Rice Puto, 1:29.8. Obviously, he was battling, so he's lost some time there, but just showing how much the pace difference is. It was a 53. Trace Hansen goes wide, and now you see the 24 Meyer going to take advantage of that.
He just overshot the turn in there a little bit, didn't he? And so, as you said, the 24 Morrow goes through. But that little moment, they've lost touch now with that group up front. And it'll be interesting to see if they can run him down. But Dibdal is the guy right now. It's really, in a great position here, because the farther we get, and we're heading into the final 5 minutes here, Finian, with what we've been seeing for these three up front of this pack here in the last 5 minutes, they're just going to get more aggressive, and Dibdahl might be in the catbird seat for a podium.
Oh, definitely might be. If he can play his cards right here, they only got a couple laps remaining, showing about an estimated 18 laps. They're currently on lap 14 coming to 15, so that should put them at around 4 laps to go. Should things go right. Ooh, change for position in behind. Trace Hans and the 24 of Meyer are going to exchange positions yet again. Although with their exchange, they've lost touch. So Dibdahl now is free to attack without anyone directly in behind. So this can get tasty real quick here.
Absolutely. Just fold those mirrors down and get after it here in these final 4.5 minutes. And just flowing as much speed as he possibly can. And this is where you hope somebody pops out. So you start get that double draft, and you could just literally suck right up onto the back of them. But right now, well, and as I say that, here we go. And that was a look by Soto, a defense by Schooler. That's going to pinch Schooler, and he's going to be now, that's going to be a slow entry into the turn. And Dibdahl, man, he carried so much speed into that corner, Finian. I think he thought he had something, and he almost ran it right off the outside of the track.
Yeah, I think he was trying to focus a lot more on the exit here, because that can also buy you quite a bit of time, but almost, as you mentioned, went flying off the racetrack as they worked through turn 3, and a dip of a tire off the track for the number 8, Bryce Puto. As these guys continue onwards, Dibdahl's fallen off just a little bit, but he's going to gain quite a bit up here, especially with Soto just trying to find a way around Schooler. And you can argue some of these guys have been used and abused a little bit. Can we potentially see Soto start to get a little bit more aggressive here with the bumper?
Well, I mean, he certainly is right there on the back of Giancarlo Schooler. And look at that. Suddenly, Bryce Puto finds himself with just a little bit of breathing room. And he's looking in his mirrors going, come on, man, Soto, rough him up. Yeah, he's my teammate, but I want a break here. And when I say rough him up, I just mean, you know, get after him a little bit here. So. Not implying anything, of course. Yeah, exactly.
It's Soto putting a huge amount of pressure all over the back of the 111 here, coming now just under 3 minutes remaining as they come across the stripe. Slipstreaming, snaking down the front straightaway.
Yep, that's obviously Bryce Puto in that number 8 who's leading this group, trying to break any draft, just trying to move around and check anything up here. Just to give you an update, folks, Burkhardt has now closed to within a couple of seconds of Rick Segrini for 8th. So Morgan is doing everything he can. There's Rick Segrini just turning into one. There is, as they call him, Morgan the Kid Burkhardt. And then this battle continues here, doesn't it? It's just a really good scrap with these guys.
Yeah, a lot of
98-ish wide, Greenfield.
Well, they're going to actually door each other coming out of the turn. This battle's still not done yet. Everyone's still scrapping for position here in the closing minutes. You can see the 98 going to force his way on by. Greenfield secure a 10th spot, at least for now. There's Morgan Burkhardt in the mix. And then coming back up to these guys that have been constantly a battle. I think earlier talking about these drivers being in a sweat. I'm sure definitely these three, the Ada, Rasputin, Schooler, and Soto, they're definitely going to be sweating. They've been constantly battling for the last 15, 20 minutes with no sign of relief in sight here, really, other than the checkered flag coming up shortly.
Yeah, and you know what? They kind of eased that battling a little bit, and look what happened. They were able to drop Dibdahl just a bit and make this a 3-car battle again, but you know it's not going to last. They are so close now, and Bryce Puto trying to do that. He's protecting now. Smart move. So if Giancarlo Schooler is going to do something, was that the white flag? We're on our last lap, and here he comes. Since Soto beat Schooler to the drill, Schooler wanted to move, and Soto was there. Oh, and then Schooler just taps the back of Bryce Puto, and that gets Bryce Puto in a little bit deep. There goes Schooler, and Soto's up and underneath him as well. And I'll tell you what, I think Bryce Puto at this point is going to be seeing a little bit red.
I was going to say, I wasn't sure these drivers were even expecting to see the white flag there. The white flag came out with barely enough time left on the clock, so it is barely the white flag. So I think that might have caught some drivers off guard, and that's where we've seen the aggression start to step up here. Soto up to 3rd, trying to see if he can make it 2nd, if he can make a move on Schooler.
And you can see there, Schooler really protecting on the entry to 5. And that's okay. You don't lose too much by doing that. Oh, was that a little tap?
Was a little tap.
I think he did. Soto got underneath. He loosened him up, as they say.
Trying to see if he can make an entry, make a move. He's not going to be on the right-hand side. There you see the 8 of Rice Pudo. He's not giving up. He's throwing a dive in, trying to door it with Soto. Here they come. These 4 now. You can see Dibdal trying to break his way on through to this battle. Meanwhile, 9 seconds up the road, Caleb Patry is going to take home the win in dominating fashion as he comes across the line.
Yeah, he was just putting on a clinic, smooth and fast. But here we go. Here comes the scrum to the line. It's currently Schooler in second. But did Soto get him? No. But man, was it close.
24 thousandths of a second at the line between those two. He gave it his all. You can't argue that.
Not at all. I mean, he was just relentless. And Dibdal, up there in the top 5. And Morgan Burkhardt couldn't quite get close enough to get by Rick Sagrini. So, wow, but what a charge from dead last in the pack up into the 9th spot for Morgan Burkhardt. So, well, other than, of course, the absolute checkout drive by Caleb Patry, that one was absolutely intense, wasn't it?
Oh, absolutely intense. I mean, not really for the lead because Caleb Patry's 9 seconds up the road. I'm sure he was probably getting bored by the end of that race with such a dominant lead. But a fantastic battle from the rest of the guys in behind, not letting up whatsoever. I can't, if that was how race 1 played out, cannot look forward to seeing how race 2 works out, especially because, look, in 9th place, Morgan Burkhardt up from 9th, and if I'm not mistaken, these guys are just going to be starting in the same order. I don't believe there's an invert.
That is correct.
That
is correct. So yeah, Burkhardt will start 9th, and unfortunately for Gill, he's going to be starting way back in the pack, so he's going to be the one making the big charge for us to be keeping our eyes on as well. So, yeah, I think this one's going to get really interesting here. While we have this moment between races, I had mentioned that Full Send Sims has a brand new sim rig that they've created, and it's called the Pro Ultimate Rig. And it features a triple screen setup with a 49-inch center monitor, 2 big side monitors, and a 34-inch fourth or top monitor for telemetry and track data and track maps. And that is brand new from Full Send Sims, and it is spectacular. And once again, you can hire Full Send Sims, have them bring their trailer with their other 2 rigs in it. You can race side by side. You can use it for training, have an instructor in one and the student in the other one. You can have 2 students in there with the instructor behind, all connected with headset and data. Full Send Sims, man, as they say, practice makes podium, and they get it. And they do a great job with it. And, also at that point, I do want to say thanks again to 3P Logistics and Fred Rodriguez and Final Turn Motorsports, both just remarkable prep shops, and really jumped in and supported things here. Remember that Full Send Sims, you can get one-on-one instruction from Morgan Burkhardt, Ben Forrester, Conrad Chachik. They are the official instructors. You can get one-on-one instruction from them. And from time to time, Full Send Sims will have racing schools, and if you're a league member, you are free to join that. Others can for a fee, and those who are a little bit off the pace or seem to be pounding out virtual bodywork too much at the end of races, might be a good idea to be able to join up and do one of those schools. And quickly here, Finian, just a reminder that the top 3 in overall season points will all receive trophies. The winner will receive a direct drive wheelbase. Second place will get a set of load settle pedals. And third, you get your choice, either an H-pattern sequential shifter or a 2-year iRacing paid subscription. And keep in mind that while Full Send Sims administrators and instructors can get the trophies, they are not eligible for that sim hardware. So if you're out a little bit of that top 3 in the points, don't give up. If you're 4th or 5th, you might still end up with a really nice piece of hardware. And there's also no repeat winners for hardware. So anybody who finished in the top 3 in the opening season, they aren't eligible. So keep at it here. Do everything you can. And that's really just a good mantra in general, isn't it, for racing? Never give up, because look at what happened to Mr. Dibdal. He was way out of it, and suddenly he's battling for a podium. He just never quit.
I was going to say, you can definitely see why these guys are fighting so hard out there on the track. It's not just for the fun of it. It's also got some good prizes towards the end of the season. So definitely some great stuff to be fighting for with these drivers, and just some fantastic action on the track. Race 1 did not disappoint, and now we got race 2 coming up here. So I think you can definitely see that the cream of the crop has somewhat risen to the top. A lot of the fast drivers have gone to the top of the field. Big question is, can anyone challenge Caleb Patry? Obviously, he had a really good start. was helped out a little bit by who was the driver that had that issue shifting? Rowan Gill in the 174.
Yeah, Gill, yep.
That helped him get that little bit of a cushion to break away. Do we see him breaking away in race number 2? Do you think everyone's going to be on him from the get-go?
Well, I mean, he certainly is going to try the breakaway, isn't he? But, the thing is that Schooler, Rice, Puto, Soto certainly have his speed. It was just, as you said, when Rowan Gill had that moment, they all had to check up, and that, caused them to lose touch a little bit. And at that point, then they started fighting. And, the one thing to me that I notice is, just in watching now, Patry, Rice, Puto, they tend to work together really well. Yes, they're teammates, but I mean, just in general, they do that. I've noticed that Giancarlo Schooler and to a degree, Josh Soto, they're a little bit more of the I'm going to get in there and go for it kind of type. They're willing to race hard early, and I don't know whether it's a lack of patience or they just enjoy this so much. But they seem willing to mix it up a little bit more, and so that's going to be the interesting thing. And of course, for Morgan Burkhardt, we talked about the point leader coming in here, starting in ninth. He's hoping that nobody gets the break and that they just start roughing each other up early, and so that he can come up through the pack. And I mean, he's got Jordan Rixagrini, who's one of the guys that can certainly run up at the front. And we've seen that Trace Hansen, Dean Dibdahl certainly can. The guy that really has impressed me in this first race, is Gianno Mauro. I think he did a superb job, and I think he really found something at Road America, and it's coming good here, and he's doing a superb job.
Yeah, I was going to say, he was pretty quiet in the 24 machine. We saw him make a few moves here and there, fell off a little bit towards the end, especially because we were more focusing on the battle near the front, but might have something yet to show here as we start race number 2 here. So this is going to, I really can't wait to get this race underway. How entertaining race 1 was to see now everyone up near the front of the field and see if Caleb Patrick can get it done here. We'll get down to the track here in just a moment.
Yeah, I mean, and just to make a point, this is Mauro's highest starting position of 5th. He started 10th. Dibdahl started 11th, and those guys were right up into the front of the order here. So, you know what? I think we've got plenty of guys up front here that have the potential to make this an absolutely stunning race. You just can't let that one guy get that break.
I guess also the big thing, too, is can we expect the start for race number 2 to be as clean? We saw a very aggressive start, but everyone respecting each other as much as they can, bumper to bumper, heading to turn 1. Do we think we're going to see the same thing happen, or we might see someone wipe out near the back?
Well, I think that's going to be the interesting story here. And with, again, with Schooler on the outside of row 1 and Soto on the inside of row 2, those guys just get after it. And if they don't want to see Caleb Patry on that pole position just drive off into the distance, I think those guys might get really aggressive at the start. And I'm not saying that aggression is bad. They just like to mix it up. And in this case, it might be what's called for is to have Schooler somehow pin Patry as they get down into turn 1 and, slow up his exit point and, allow a couple of the other guys to maybe get in front of him, and then races on.
Got your starting lineup there, lineup on the left side, exactly the same as the finishing order. Morgan Burkhardt here setting, you can see from the nose of his car, a lot less cars to work through compared to race number 1. Started in 25th, ended up finishing in 9th, so he had a lot of work cut out for him, but some might argue the work's yet to be done. He's gotten through the slower cars in the field now to get through the faster cars, especially because pretty much every single car up ahead of him, I say, has a decent shot of winning this race should some things go wrong for the guys up near the front.
Oh, I think so, and it really speaks volumes for Burkhardt too, doesn't it? That you were talking about it. That steering wheel was 15 to 20 degrees off center after that hit, and he just figured out how to drive around it and was able to work his way up, pick up another 5 spots at least at that stage. So, he's going to be up on the wheel early because he does not want to have this points lead, which is pretty minimal of only 4 coming in, dissolve at all. So it's going to be a fun one, Finian.
Definitely going to be a fun one. I honestly completely forgot that his steering wheel was to the right-hand side because he was driving as if it didn't even matter. You wouldn't even think he had the steering messed up on that car because he just kind of got his head down, got to it. Pretty much minimal mistakes after that. So best of luck to see how things work out for him in this race, and I'm sure Caleb Patrick is going to hoping everything works out exactly the same way it did in race number 1, potentially trying to get a lead, maybe hoping his teammates can hold everyone up. He can try to race his way on through and break away, but I'm sure with the way they're battling, I don't think they're going to be willing to let the 998 break away from him.
No, I think everybody is going to be really aggressive in that, exactly what you're talking about, in that effort to make sure that Patry doesn't just go, and because he's certainly showed he's capable of it, and that's going to have everybody pretty concerned here at this stage. But this is going to be so fun.
Yeah, pace car is off. Patry in control of the field yet again. Let's see what he can do.
And again, Giancarlo Schooler, who is willing to get after it and be aggressive early. I don't know if he's laying back a little bit, trying to time this, and we're green! And I don't know if he laid back a little bit too far, because Patrick gets the nose ahead, way down to the inside, goes the 24 Morrow. Now is Schooler going to try and get the push from behind. He's got Nicholas Rice-Puto, his teammate there. Schooler now eases ahead just a little bit. Now into the brakes, down into 1. And it is going to be Patry that comes through. And look at the move by Morrow up into, is he going to hang on to that 4th spot? No, he floats wide. And is that Burkhardt, who might already be up knocking on the door of a top 5? I think he's got 5th.
He's got 3 wide on the outside. He's got to be careful to not get hip checked out wide. Doors the 24 goes out just a little bit wide. There's Joshua Soto now. They're 3 wide. This is not going to work for too long.
No, 3 into 4 is tough math, man.
Whoa, contact with the 24, and Soto somehow makes 2 passes and doesn't get turned around in the process.
That was incredible. Yeah, and I'll tell you, Morrow did a nice job of not just running Soto off into the gravel, and Soto's reply was, well, I'm just going to pass you. Because, racers are greedy. That's how it is. But look at this. We have got Morgan Burkhardt up now into 6th, and we only have half a lap done on this race.
Fantastic start for everyone up near the front of the field. Now just somewhat getting sorted out. There's Caleb Patry, Schooler, and Nicholas Rice-Puto, your top 3 after lap number 1. Trace Hands, Joshua Soto, Morgan Burkhardt trying to work their way up through the order, but everyone else single file in behind.
And those top 3 are all teammates, at least in the graphics they have on the car. And having a look here again at Dibdahl, who was started in 5th, and he got shuffled back badly on that one, and now he's trying to come back up. He's down to the inside. That blue car of Rickson Greeny, the 108. Dibdahl is there. Rickson Greeny's going to try and stay put around the outside. And they are still side by side. If Rickson Greeny can stay put there, he's got the inside line into 3. He may have pulled that off.
They're going to door each other down the straight a little bit, or get very close to dooring each other. A late entry from the 99 gets hip checked by Rowan Gill, who's been trying to work his way up through the order after blowing a motor in race number 1. He's up into 9th place from 19th on the start, so fantastic move forward. And Nathan Nicholson also up 12 spots. Oh, no.
That was, he had just put on an absolutely great run, and I don't think Dibdahl had any clue Nathan was working that outside line, and that great start is gone. Watch this. Yeah.
I think just ended up braking to the right-hand side. He clipped the 19, and around he went.
Yeah, I think Dibdahl was just swinging over, thought he was clear, and was swinging over to set up for the next corner. And, and again, Nathan gets nosed off by another car as he's trying to get back onto some pace here. So it's gone all wrong. And there's Rich Green, a little damage to the back of that car. Whew, well, that was an interesting start, wasn't it? So now Dibdahl's got some serious catching up to do. But, yeah, while we were kind of focused on how much is Burkhardt moving up, Rowan Gill has come through that field like a hot knife through butter.
Really has. I think just took advantage of everyone being clumped up on the start. And sometimes when all these drivers get clumped up like that, you kind of just have to be lucky that you're in the right lane that moves forward. No one spins out, misses the corner, stacks up the field at the apex, and you just happen to be in the right place, right time. So he's moved up 10 spots so far, and is still just about breathing down the leader's neck here. He's got a few guys to get past. Rick Sagrini, Myru just up ahead in 8th and 7th.
Yeah, great drive back up through the pack for Gill. Look at him using that curb. Now into that very tight turn 5. Kind of a throwaway corner, isn't it? Because you can come in tight or you can flow in. It's not a huge difference. You just want to be set up in the right position to start into turn 6, because that leads all the way to the exit of 9, doesn't it?
Yeah, and this is such a flowing section. So if you get the beginning part of it wrong, you're going to mess up the end of it, and you're going to lose a huge amount of time. Although when you're stacked up nose to tail, it doesn't matter quite a whole lot like the leaders are. Patry, though, we're talking about that gap getting separated. He's already started to just make a little bit of a gap occur. 0.7 of a second back to Schooler, Rice, and Rice Puto, and even they're building a gap to Hans, Soto, and Burkhardt.
Yeah, they do not want to see this from Patry. They want to get right up there. And right behind Soto is Burkhardt. He is there, and I think right now he might just be pushing him to try and get by, make a double move for both of them on Hans. And that worked. That was Morgan Burkhardt working with Soto here and just trying to get close up, not lose touch with this group of three up front.
No, they definitely needed to make sure that they made the pass, like you said, before they lose touch with them. So Soto now just about a second off the back bumper of Rice Puto, who's climbing the curb and hauling the mail through turn 3 there, as they're both him and Schooler just struggling to keep up with Patry, who's been putting on a clinic already from the get-go. They made up about a 10th last lap through, so they're not completely losing the 998.
Yeah, they just have to not go, and Burkhardt slices through on Soto. Wow, that was just a great pass. I'd like to see how that one started because it executed beautifully. Let's watch it here.
Heading to turn 5.
Just into 5, yeah. And that all happened because Soto was trying so hard to swing back over to set up for 5. The car backed up, or stepped out a little bit. You just had that little wiggle, and by the time he saved it, Morgan pounced.
Yeah, that braking zone turn 5, it's so tricky. And you're talking about the track designers twirling their mustaches. I'm sure that's definitely one of those places they were, because it's such a tricky braking zone to get right. You're going full speed through the corner previously, and you have to try to get the car set up, planted, and then apply the brakes. And Soto unfortunately couldn't get that efficiently done. So now all the top 4 have the exact same paint scheme. So this is going to get confusing if you don't know the car numbers.
Exactly right, and this is going to be fascinating because Schooler, right now we have seen, as I said, he just likes to get up on the wheel here and get a little feisty. And right now, he and Rice Puto, they need to really work together because you know what's going to happen if they don't. Burkhardt's going to catch him, and Burkhardt, if he's got anything to say about it, will just come through them. And it'd be interesting to see whether Burkhardt on his own can run down Patry. But he'd sure like to just work with these three team cars, just work their way up and catch him as we're on board here with Morgan Burkhardt. And I'll tell you what, Morgan has been doing an absolutely incredible job in SCCA national level Hoosier Super Tour racing in his Spec Racer Gen 3 with a number of wins, one of them in the wet. That was just spectacular.
Yeah, I'm not too surprised. I've seen Burkhardt wheel a car around on SimTV for quite a while, and he definitely is a wheelman. So if there's anyone to get it done, it's this number 40 here. He's got 3 very competitive cars to pass, though, to get to the lead. Granted, he does have 17 minutes remaining, so he definitely has a bit of time to work with here. It's just a matter of can he get it done in time, and will Patry be able to break away here. I'm curious to see if he can get past the 8 there. He's going to go for a late dive. Up the inside he will go. Oh, 2 for 1.
He's going to get
2 for
both.
1.
I wonder if that wasn't maybe discussed since they're team guys, that Morgan clearly has a bit more pace. Let him through, latch onto the back of him, and see if that whole train can't catch Patry. And I don't know. If it was, I'm just speculating, but it sure looked like Schooler could have started to turn in a little bit sooner and block Burkhardt, and he didn't.
Yeah, looking back at it, it almost looked a little too perfect the way he went wide in turn 1 and let Burkhardt on through. So I wouldn't be too surprised, get the tinfoil hats out. But that did look almost a little bit planned. So we'll see here. I mean, granted that he's got about 1.1 seconds now to make up to Patry. So Burkhardt can get his head down. He's got a completely clean car, no damage to it. It's an all-out battle now between himself and Patry, and if he can catch back up to him.
Yeah, and it's possible that Schooler looked in his mirrors and maybe just missed that braking point a little bit, just floated wide, genuinely. But I'll tell you, Morgan is big slide through the gravel trap, and that might be the opportunity for Rice Puto and Soto. And you can see already Schooler's moving over, trying to defend just a little bit here.
Oh, and Rasputo going for the bump.
Here comes Soto trying to get up inside Rasputo. He can't quite get it done either. And behind them, Morrow and Hans are at it again in their own little scrap with good reason, because they've got Gill and Rick Segrini just breathing down their necks.
Yeah, so you can see the entire top 9 on this single straightaway here coming off from turn 2 to turn 3. So very close battles up for the top few spots. These guys, again, talk about getting sweaty. They're definitely going to be sweating after these couple of races here. Cannot go without a second without another car breathing down your neck.
The other part of it, too, is just how hard has Patry been driving. Has he pushed his tires a little hard? As Burkhardt used up tire coming up through the pack, doesn't look like it. And Gill is the other guy. I think he may have really pushed those tires hard to get up there. We'll see if he's able to stay with it, because he's working really hard right now to get around Hans Morrow and get up to Soto.
Definitely going to be interested in seeing how the lap times are going to look when they come across the line. And actually, you can see with Giancarlo Scusa, that error he made coming off the final corner last lap through cost him quite a bit of time. So whatever they did to get Burkhardt, if that was planned, it's definitely failed, because he's now 1.2 seconds up the road. And actually, here comes Rasputo going to make a move.
And Soto, was going to go with him, use that double toe. And is he going to stay with Rasputo, or is he going to go with Schooler? You can see he's trying to figure out which way he wants to go. Rasputo's got the move done to the inside, and Schooler floats out a little wide again, and that was not planned, I'll guarantee you that. I think Schooler realized, I just can't turn in or we're going to hit. So now he's going to try and stick with Rasputo and have that inside through 3. And Soto, just did a beautiful job. Lost the spot, but at least didn't lose that spot as well. Ooh, that's Gill.
Hip check from Gill from the 53, and actually gets the pass done doing so. That's impressive. You don't usually see that.
Well, that's karmic, isn't it?
So Gill going to move up into 7th place. Hans in 8th, Rick Segrini 9th, all in behind Mauro. And then we saw now Schooler, Soto, Rasputo, 5th, 4th, and 3rd after a great pass by Soto. And I was going to say he did a great job. He decided he was going to stay on the left and then just turn in as much as possible and prevented Schooler from doing the crossover back on the 8 of Rasputo. So it was a great move by Soto to get himself up to 4th. Problem is now these guys have got a lot of work to do to try to catch back up to Burkhardt, and Burkhardt is running fantastic laps. So here they are last time before they're coming across the line now. Patry, 127.4. Burkhardt, 127.2. And this time by, I'm sure it's going to be a big difference now.
Oh, it's a huge difference. I mean, while we were watching that battle behind, Burkhardt trimmed half a second out of that second lead that Patry had. And this one now is getting really tasty up front.
Yeah, it looks like Patry's not going to have an easy day in the office tonight. It looks like he's going to have to work for it here. Morgan Burkhardt, again, who started dead last in 25th in race number 1, drove his way up to 9th for starting race number 2 in 9th, and now is up to 2nd. Has a chance of getting the lead here, and he has 12 minutes to get it done. As in the background, everyone's hauling through turn 3 into the gravel, trying to keep everyone at bay. Joshua Soto is all over the back of Rasputo.
Oh, he is pushing him hard. Schooler just you can see that little bit of a car length back. Oh, boy, did Soto get a run through there. Really launched out of through and out of 5. And I thought he might have enough to just, surprise the number 8 of Rasputo. It's tough to make a pass here in these S's, but he really hooked up coming out of 5. So while that battle up front is going to be really good, this one for the final podium spot, I think is going to be fierce. I mean, what do we have now? 5 cars?
Yeah, 5 cars in this battle, pretty much from 3rd all the way around back to around 7th or 8th place. So they're all nose to tail riding on board with Joshua Soto coming out of the final corner, and this is where Rasputo is going to be all under attack here. Nothing he can really do, just trying to either pick a lane and stick with it and hope that the 77 makes a mistake here. Here he comes out, peeling to the right-hand side.
I would have thought Rasputo may have eased over and just gone mid-track. And he just left the door open, and here comes Soto. Now Rasputo was thinking, well, I'm going to stay around the outside, and Soto just drifted a little wide on exit, and Giancarlo Schooler dives down underneath the number 8 of Rasputo and was thinking about sticking a nose up underneath Soto. These guys are really going after. Oh, a big wiggle. That was Rasputo, wasn't it?
That was Rasputo caught a bit of grass on entry. We've seen how that has ended up for Rowan Gill. He made a pass on the 24. Now has a chance at knocking on the door of the top 5. So the 174 making his way back up the order. It's been a fantastic climb for him. Again, up 13 spots from 19th.
Yeah, just a great drive, no question. And, you know, for guys like Amaro and Morrow and Hance, you know, following Gill right now, that is just really a nice opportunity because Rowan is so fast on these sims. And, you know, an opportunity if they're not as familiar with sim racing to be able to learn a little bit here as Gill looking at the back of that number 8 of Rice Pudo under the bridge down into 10.
And as these guys come on through, take a look at the leaders because they are close. The battle is officially on here with Burkhardt coming up on the back of Patry. Now, if you're Burkhardt, do you want to wait till the last lap or do you want to make the move now?
Well, it all depends. Well, here, is he going to do it now? There, he answered it for us, Finian. Oh, and look at Patry is open in wide. I think he wanted to square up and really go to throttle coming out. And, you know, by the time they got into one, their margin was up by about 4 seconds. And just that little side-by-side, they lost 0.4 of a second to Skula, Rice, Pudo, and Soto. And, you know, not that they're under threat, but that just shows you how 1 corner's worth of side-by-side dueling can cost you that much time in these absolutely identical cars.
Identical in the cars they're running and the paint schemes on the track, but the number 40 Morgan Burkhardt up to the lead ahead of Patry. And it was kind of funny. It took in the time it took to finish that sentence, he ended up making the move and exactly explaining what he was going to do.
Yep, I love it when they answer the question real time for us. That's pretty cool. Look at this train. I mean, a little bit of a break now for Schooler, but then Rice, Pudo, Gill, Soto, Rickson, Greeny, Morrow, and Hance. They are just covered by the proverbial blanket right now. I love this.
I was going to say, there's really not really any other close battle on the racetrack other than this gigantic battle going on. This is all effectively for third place here. Dunco Schooley mentioned just off to a little bit of a gap, but everyone trying to reel him back in. It's like a hungry nest of hornets in behind him, all howling him, trying to catch back up. This is off the back of Rice Pudo, and this is what Schooler's got to deal with. He's got a little bit of breathing room, but if he makes a mistake, he's back in the thick of things. As up for the front, Patry not done, going to go back under Morgan Burkhardt in turn 1.
And Burkhardt now going to try the counterpunch move, try and square up, get back down underneath. Patry will have the line of choice going into turn 3. And if Burkhardt, and see, that's where Morgan is so smart. If he tried to stay there with him, and maybe on the last lap he would have, but if he tried to stay there with him
they would have been like this.
Yes, exactly. And look at that. That has now allowed
2x2, 2x2 they go. Soto in the grass, he's going to spin out. Will he take someone out with him? The number 8. Oh, I saw Rick Sagrini sideways.
I think he just lost it on his own. Probably checked up because he saw Soto so crossed up. Let's watch how this all started.
I don't even know if I have a good camera angle. I usually don't expect this many cars to go side by side into this corner.
Soto dropped that left.
Oh, yeah, he actually, Rick Sagrini kind of got sideways by himself. You're right.
I think so. I think he checked up. So there goes Soto. Rick Sagrini stops here.
Oh, he might have had some help.
I think maybe Morrow. Yep, I think Morrow just gave him the little chrome horn.
I mean, nothing he really could do in that case when everyone's so stacked up together. I guess it could have been a whole lot worse. And actually, it looks like the 24 is down on pit lane. Oh, so I think he had an issue.
Well, he may have got tagged too in that, so.
Let's see if we can find him on the track. Here he is. I wonder if he either that or he came through. Maybe I wonder if he got a penalty or if he got damage from that.
I think he may have damage.
Oh yeah, look at the wheel before he.
Yep.
He's going almost sideways, so he's gonna have to get some repairs to that machine. Unfortunate for the end of his run at the moment, but that's broken up this pack quite a bit here.
Yeah, Schooler now has about a second in hand over Rice, Pudo, Gill, Soto, and the rest of the group. And that battle up front is still fierce. I mean, there's nothing separating them either. So a huge battle for the win, huge battle for third if they could run Schooler down. And if they just work together, they can. Look at this, Burkhardt looking inside, outside, now inside. Oh, that's so close.
Fighting really aggressively here. 6 minutes left on the clock here, and it's already spicy. I can't imagine how they're going to be when the white flag comes out, let alone with 6 minutes remaining.
That's going to be incredibly intense here. And now let's see. Each time now, the last 2 laps down this long straight and into one, we've had a lead change going into one.
Let's see what they do this time by Morgan Burkhart waiting in the wings, and it looks like he might continue to wait in the wings as follows in line.
Yeah, I think they wanted to make sure, let's put another second on these crazy guys behind us, in Schooler, Rice, Puto, Gill, et al., and make sure that we've got the margin so on that last lap we can really have some fun and go after it. And, the guy who's trying to get back into this, he's not that far out. We're on board with him, is Gill, and he's a really nice run through 3, and he's there now. And I think Soto has dropped off just a bit, maybe 3/4 of a second behind Gill here. Yeah, you can see that gap.
And he's still
and
working
Beans
it.
Forster is coming up through the pack. And Beans in this race started way back.
Yeah, I haven't really
doing
talked a lot
really
of the,
nice job.
Yeah, I haven't really talked a whole lot of the 23 tonight. Beans Forster started in 12th, up now to 7th place, and he might still go a couple of positions forward here, especially if something catastrophic happens with these guys up near the front, and we've seen them completely go at it. They haven't taken each other out, but they've done everything but taking each other out.
Short of that. Yeah, exactly. And Beans, I mean, I think he said, oh, here we go, Rice Puto now down to the inside of Schooler, side by side through turn 10. That's a brave place. That is such a fast corner. Boy, it's Schooler coming across. I think he was thinking about breaking the toe, but I don't know whether that got Rice Puto to check up big time, because now here comes Gill, Soto, and look at Beans. Oh, Beans thought, I've got an opening here, and Soto sensed it and went over there and filled that gap. And now Beans going to try and square up, come down underneath. And what I was going to get to here, Finian, is Beans has had a long racer, I think, without many cars in front of him. So he has, I think he's been able to drive really fast, smooth lines. He may have some tire left.
I was going to say, it definitely seems like he might have some tire left, especially with the way these guys have been driving, getting back on the throttle aggressively, swerving all over the track. It's going to break the tires down a little bit, especially after running now for 20 minutes straight. So these guys, I imagine, have used up the stuff a little bit here. So Beans now, if he can get through these guys quickly enough, he's only got 3.5 minutes remaining to get past 4 cars, but anything's possible here. And man, these guys have me so stressed out. I'm not even a driver. I'm just watching this. I have no bets or anything on this at all, but these guys have me as stressed out as if I were driving in this race.
Yeah, and I got to tell you, I'm hugely impressed with Beans here, because in that first race, he had a problem early and finished way down. So he started, as you said, back in 12th. He started much farther down than that in that first race and worked his way up to a 12th. So he's doing a heck of a job here. And Gill now splitting Schooler and Rice Puto. You can see Gill showing the nose there, and Schooler he comes out of 10, bobs and weaves. He does not want anybody to get up the inside of him heading down into turn 1. And so Beans gets the toe, makes the move, forces everybody to adjust a little bit. And Schooler, that time it worked really well for him, because everybody went to sort of shift to the left early and checked up a little bit, and he was able to open his angle up through 1 and wasn't quite as under attack heading in there.
Yeah, solid job to keep his line going at the... Whoa, Soto drifting out sideways. Can he save it through the gravel? Woo!
Ooh. That was close. He came, a couple of sheets of paper away from grazing that wall. Watch this onboard here, Finian.
Yeah, you're going to see him just go out just a little bit to the right. There you can hear him get into the gravel and just trying to save it. Fantastic car control here. And this is always nerve-wracking as a driver.
That's heart in the throat stuff, yeah. And I think he did what we've seen so many times there, turning into 3, drop that right rear tire at turn-in, just enough that the grip evaporates when you're on that sandy edge, and away, again, another great save. And up front, Patry continuing to hang on over Burkhart by 0.18 of a second as we are starting. This be our last lap? No, I think we're going to get one more.
Last time, okay, so interesting. So this time in race number 1, this was the white flag lap 17. So it looks like we are going to get one more lap to go by about a few seconds, and I think that's because Patrick's able to run a little bit slower, maybe bring out the white flag a little earlier. So going to have an extra lap of racing here, and Burkhardt, I'm sure he's going to take advantage of this. So now if you're the 40, where do you make your move?
Well, if you're confident you're going to get another lap, I'd say you give it a go down into 1, right? But at this stage, I think I wonder if we might see him try something down into 10.
All over the back of Patrick here, almost gets into the back of him. I think he's just trying to get into his head, put some pressure here.
And I'll tell you, Finney, we saw these guys do this. I think at Sebring last year in the first season earlier this year at Sebring. They had a race like this, and Patry never buckled. He was able to hang on. And so the guy can do it. It's just a matter of, and this is where I was thinking, if you can get down underneath him in 10 and make sure he gets a bad exit out of 10, you might be able to do something. But he was just too strong from 9 all the way through into 10. Both of them exiting 10. Oh, we got a lap car up in front, too. And now you can see, as the white does come out, you can see right now Patry is now in major defense mode. Look at that train behind him. But here goes Burkhardt saying, all right, you're going to protect the inside. I'm going to try and ramp the outside here. And it's a braking duel now. Side by side, Patry did not make a mistake. Burkhardt's going to try and stay put so that he can exit with the right line. As they hum up into 3, he's got the overlap, and that pinned Patry. Patry couldn't float out as much, and actually that gave Burkhardt a little bit better exit speed. Patry is going to fight for it. He's in the gravel, and man, in the gravel and came right back on. What a move by Patry. He is not folding, Finian.
No, he isn't. I was going to say you're not going to see any of these guys back out like we've seen other drivers. There's Burkhardt trying to throw it up the inside, going to get into the back of Patry here, trying to work now to the outside.
He is doing everything he can to get Patry off rhythm here, and Patry has thus far had an answer for it. So this is it. Last 2 corners, essentially. Burkhardt now, he needs the monster run, and he's got to make the big dive down into 10 if he wants this. Is Patry going to defend, or is he just going to, he eased over. Now here comes Burkhardt. Throws it down the inside, side by side, light touch. That's it. Patry runs just a little wide. Burkhardt is through, and Burkhardt is going to get this win. Wow, what a finish. Now, what's going on in that battle for 3rd? Because that was a snake. Here comes Schooler. He gets it. Gill up into 4th. Rice-Puto 5th. Beans Forster up into the 6th spot. And Soto in 7th. Wow. But what's your take on that move down into 10? It was an incredibly light touch, but you're on the absolute edge, absolute limit there. Any kind of a touch is going to pitch you a little sideways. What's your thoughts on it?
I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how the admins look at it. So I'm genuinely curious to see what their take is on that. Sending a driver off the track. I think if Patry's able to stay on, I think it would have been okay. Robbins Racing might have been a little bit too optimistic. I don't know. I'm not a steward, so just going to enjoy the move. But at Burkhardt, he had to do something there at the end, especially because Patry fought so hard. Fought so hard through the first few corners to keep the 40 at bay, and that was just the entire last lap was Burkhardt just giving anything that he had, throwing everything he had, and the kitchen sink at Patry.
Oh yeah. Well, and I'll tell you, it was Patry when Burkhardt came up the outside going into turn 1 in the last lap, it would have been so easy for him to either overshoot or overbrake to try and square up, and Burkhardt's through, and he did not let that happen. And was absolutely superb. And then when Burkhardt got up underneath him into 3, and he ended up, his angle shot him off into the gravel, he just stayed with it there. And when Burkhardt came up and tried to loosen him up into 5 and 6, he had covered it beautifully. I'd love to see that move into 10 once again and just take a peek at it here. But I'll tell you what, it was something else. Here's the results. Top 10, Burkhardt, Patry, and Schooler on the podium. Gill, a great fight up into the 4th spot. Rice-Puto runs out your top 5. Beats Forster, kind of doing in a way what Burkhardt did with a lousy starting spot in race, or ended up well back in race 1, fought his way up into 12th, and then a 6th place. Then Josh Soto, Thomas Pendergrass had a really good run. And Court Schmidt, how about that? Up into 9th. And Max Schweid completing your top 10, Finian.
Yeah, moving on back, Deacon Greenfield not able to get back inside the top 10 in the 11 machine. Actually started in 11, then ended up finishing in 11. Not a whole lot of movement for him. Seth Spoolman, Jerry Isaacs, Freider Hoffer, Green, Buttermore, Bankin, Brown, Treese Hans. That's really unfortunate for him after finishing pretty solid in race number 1. Started in 6th, back down in 19th, so a poor night for him, at least in race number 2. Then off to the final page of drivers. Rocco Pasquella, Myro, Dibdal, Nicholson, and also I think missed Jordan Rixagrini. I don't know why I didn't even put him on this page.
He was there, actually. He was one spot behind Hans.
Yes, there we go. So, him finishing that.
Them and Dibdal having that problem is, being as quick as they were. So just shows you, man, you could be fast here, but you get caught in the right moment, or the wrong moment, I should say, and everything can go a little bit pear-shaped for you. But wow, what an exciting, that first race, they just checked out at the front, did Patry, but there was a great battle from second on back. This one, a great battle from third on back, but Morgan and Patry doing what they did at Sebring in the first season, just an incredible battle at the front.
Absolutely, and let's actually start going through interviews here. We got Caleb Patry and Morgan Burkhart waiting in the wings, and I'm sure they got some choice words to say with one another, but let's talk to them individually first. Actually, Greg, if you can pull them down for me, because I don't even think the admins actually gave me the permissions.
I can't. I don't know if I can do it either.
Uh-oh. Well,
that's a shame.
That is a shame. Hang on, I might try to figure out a decent way to do it. I think if we jump up there, might be able to do it. See if we can join that channel.
I've lost it there so many times.
Yeah, I was right behind Rowan.
Right. So who am I on with?
Let's start with Morgan, since we got him here in the booth.
All right. Hey, Morgan, I'll tell you what. First race, obviously, didn't go quite the way you wanted. What happened? What was the problem not getting out and getting a time?
It was really weird. My computer restarted on its own just right before qualifying. So
you got one of those updates, huh?
Pretty much. I was about to go out, and then it just said, "No, not today." Missed qualifying, but we made the best of it. It was rough in race 1, coming through the field, just trying to stay out of trouble, but ended up getting involved with a car that was sideways in the middle of turn 1. I didn't really have anywhere to go. I got some damage from that, but I'm happy with a P9.
Yeah, I would think. We took a look right after that contact, and we could see your steering wheel was 20 degrees off center. You clearly figured out a workaround, got up into that top 10 in that race, so that's where you started, and moved up through the field quickly. And once you caught Caleb, man, it reminded me of what you guys did at one of the races at Sebring in the first season, where the two of you checked out. What a battle that was! How much fun was it to drive? Because it was glorious to watch and call.
It was so much fun. We actually weren't in a call for this one, but it was. I knew I wanted to get in front for a little bit because I wanted to see what our pace differential was, so I could kind of judge where I was faster, where he was faster, and I did that. And then he went right back through, and I was pretty okay with that. I was content to just wait until the last lap, and then we started duking it out. And he got it in turn 3. He opened the door a little bit in 5, and I was just like, all right, I'm running out of options. I got to do it somewhere, and it didn't happen the way I wanted it to. I don't want to, be part of why he went off the road, but
right.
I'm happy that I won, but it's a little bit hollow given that it ended like that.
And I can understand that.
Yeah, I don't want it to end like that, but up until then, it was a great battle. We were so close.
Well, what impressed me was, starting that last lap, when you went around the outside, it would have been so easy for him to either overrun the corner or to overslow, and he just was perfect through that corner. But with you out there, it still pinched his exit, and that gave you that inside into 3. and then his save in the gravel, and then your attack into the S's. But that moved down into 5. He just left a little bit open there, and you got a great draft. And man, it wasn't much of a touch at all, was it?
No, we barely made contact. I
Yeah.
I was not going into the chute. I don't think I was really close enough to make a move in 5. And then I saw him go a little bit deep, and I got my hopes up a little bit. And I tried to look for a spot on the inside, but he closed the door right before I got there. And I was like, I want to stay here. I don't want to back out. I don't know. It was like a whole moral dilemma, but we got okay. Kind of, he stayed in a straight line, which I was very happy about. I would not have wanted him to got hooked into the wall on the inside there, but
Right.
It was just really close.
Yeah, it was a great chess match between you two, and absolutely so fun to watch. So, congratulations, and I mean, regardless of what happened, just the climb you had to make through the pack in that first race, and then come after him in the second race. I mean, once you cleared, you had to make up some serious time on him. Just a great drive. So, thanks again for a great show as always, Morgan.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, man. Well done.
Okay.
All right, moving on to our next interview. You got Caleb Patry now.
Well, Caleb, you had an absolutely stunning race in the first one. You got to the front of the group. They started squabbling behind you, and you just checked out and sort of put on the proverbial clinic. It looked like you were going to do that again in that first race, but once Morgan was able to get through on that group squabbling behind you, he was able to catch you. And from that point on, you guys put on an absolutely amazing show, man.
Yeah, thank you. It definitely was fun. As soon as I saw Morgan there in my rear view, I knew I couldn't catch him, so my strategy was just to try to run clean laps, try not to use the tires too much, because I knew he would have to use his a little bit to get up to me. But yeah, once we were up there, nose to tail, he was maybe a little quicker than me in some of the short twisty stuff, and I think I had the legs in him in the fast stuff. But overall, we were pretty even there that whole race.
Absolutely, and then starting the last lap when he went to the outside of you going into 1, as I said to him, you could have easily overbraked or overrun that a little bit, and you were brilliant through that corner, but he was just enough outside. It looked like it pinched your exit enough to give him that inside line into 3, and then suddenly you were in the gravel.
Yeah, that my strategy there was just to try to hold the inside best I can. I knew I could. If I downshifted a second, I could have got a better run out of there than I normally would have. So I did that, held the inside, and then I knew going through 3, it can go either way. The inside can take it through that corner, the outside can take it, and I just rolled speed, kept my foot in it, and rolled around him there. But yeah, last corner though, I thought he would make a move to the inside, and so I left him a little room, but knowing I could roll speed in the outside and possibly beat him to the line, but I felt I was forced off track there in that final corner, which is unfortunate, but he apologized. We're both on good terms. That's good. So
that's good. That's good.
Yeah, good race overall, I would say.
Well, I'll say, a win and obviously maybe a little disappointed second, but a win in a second. Absolutely great stuff. Just a joy to watch you drive, my friend, and it's a pleasure to call it. Thanks for that.
Thank you.
You bet.
All right, with that, that'll wrap up the interviews from tonight here, Greg. Fantastic night of racing. I got to tell you, this is some of the best Mazda racing I've seen here at Summit Point in a very long time. I've never seen a race where so many guys were fighting so hard, and a little bit of contact, a little bit of dorming, but all in good fun, and not completely taking each other out. It's just fantastic racing from these guys here. I'm almost feeling sad that I have to go and not cover the rest of the season. Of course, Kyle Howard will be back in the booth for the rest of the races this season. But Greg, really fantastic stuff here.
Oh, it is. It is. It's a deep field. There's so much talent here, and there is the occasional little touch, but that's just the way sim racing works. Sometimes, but it is so fun. It is absolute on the sword for the entire race, and as I said, little taps here and there, but just clean, quick, and enjoyable. Great strategy in these short races. It's great, and I'll tell you, again, a huge thanks to Court Schmidt at Full Send Sims. This was his idea, and put this all together. And we've got these amazing drivers that come back race after race. to take part in this and put on these amazing shows. So, man, I got to tell you, all credit goes to Court, to our associate sponsors, of course, that have been so instrumental here in 3P Logistics and Final Turn Motorsports, and to these drivers that keep showing up and putting on such an incredible show. And Finian, always a pleasure to work with you. I know if Kyle has another conflict somewhere, you'll be the guy he'll bring in, and I look forward to that as well. Thanks for a good time, man.
Yeah, I was going to say, I hope he doesn't have a conflict, but if he does, I'll definitely be more than happy to come back for this series, especially these guys, speaking of coming back, these guys have been coming next week to Mid-Ohio here, Monday night next week.
And I'll tell you, that is one of the great drivers' tracks in the country. There's no question about that. Always produces some fabulous racing, and looking forward to that one as well. So with that, we're going to wrap up our coverage here. Again, big thanks to Full Send Sims, 3P Logistics, Final Turn Motorsports, and to all the drivers that make this such an amazing series to be a part of. I'm Greg Creamer. Huge thanks to Finian, and we will be with you, as he said, next week at Mid-Ohio. We'll see you then.